Welcome one and all to the 2025 St. Paul String Quartet Competition pre-final round interviews. My name is Ray Shows. I'm first violinist of the Artaria String Quartet and founder and administrator of America's first and foremost competition exclusively for high school and pre-professional string quartets, rah-rah. We are celebrating the 20th year of presenting the St. Paul String Quartet competition, and it's my distinct privilege to introduce the Porphyrion Quartet from, where are you guys from?
Chicago.
Chicago. Beautiful. Greetings to you all. Okay, I have some questions to ask for you to consider and respond to. I believe you are ready. And as I mentioned, there are no wrong answers, just some icebreakers that will allow our audiences to get to know you all better. All right, first of all, let's tell the audience your name, the instrument you play, and where you study chamber music. And let's start with Nina.
My name is Nina Agarwal, and I'm a violist at the Music Institute of Chicago.
Next.
My name is Mingshi, and I play violin, and I study chamber music at the Music Institute of Chicago Academy.
Hello, my name is Sasha. I also play the violin and study at the Music Institute of Chicago.
My name is Simon Updegraff. I play the cello, and I also study at the Music Institute of Chicago Academy.
Fantastic. So, how did each of you get introduced to chamber music? Why don't we start with Simon?
I think my first experience were with my dad. He plays the piano, and so oftentimes when I was learning a Suzuki piece, I'd be playing with him, accompanying me, and it was a really nice experience. And then I've also been in a lot of piano trios and quartets growing up. It's really nice with the Institute of Chicago. Like, there are a lot of nice programs they have for students.
So you started right at the top with the pros. I see how that worked.
Yeah.
Sasha, tell us how you got started in chamber music.
I had a very nice chamber group, a couple of kids in one of my previous schools, and we used to hang out every week on, I think, Wednesdays and just play around. And so it was very informal, but also very good start into chamber music.
Sounds like it. Nina, tell us your story in chamber music.
Yeah, so when I was about 8 or 9, I attended the Blue Lake Festival, which I remember that's when I played chamber music for the first time, and I remember playing in a quartet. I was one of the violinists, not a violist, but I remember playing one of the Mozart string quartets, and it was very fun.
Oh, I love Mozart. Mingshi, what's your story?
Well, I remember, I can barely remember it because I think I was like 7 or 8 years old at the Hyde Park Suzuki Institute. And I remember like my friends and I, we formed a quartet, I think. And I wasn't sure what was going on really, because it was all I knew that was that like we had a couple of teachers there and we were playing like music together as a group. But it was a very fun time.
Did any of you get interested in music by hearing other professional or other groups play, or was it just you just dove right in? Who wants to answer that? I know Simon mentioned that he was with his family right away, but did any of you experience perhaps an ensemble or a group coming to your school, or your friends were already playing in it, or is it just your friends just coalesced around a group?
I think like Simon. I heard my older brother playing chamber music, which inspired me, but I don't know if I remember hearing any professional groups that inspired me. Probably, but.
Well, I'll tell you this. In Chicago town, there are a lot of groups playing some great music all over town. Avail yourselves. Go hear the pros. I'm sure they'll give you a free concert ticket to have you there to listen, because you guys are a learned audience at the level you're playing at. And I think you really, that's how we really gained our next level of playing when I was younger too. So, thanks for telling me that. When did the four of you coalesce into a string quartet? Ming-Chi.
Okay, so we formed this year. So at the academy, it's pretty interesting. Every year I think Mr. Sedipin and a couple of other teachers, they try to match students based on their skill levels and based on like who you want to form a group with. And so Simon and I were in a piano trio last year, and we both wanted to stay in the same sort of group, but our pianist graduated last year, so we wanted to be in a quartet this year, and so luckily we got put into a quartet together this year. Yeah.
Well, that's half the story. Sasha and Nina, do you want to add to that?
We were not originally in the same group, but yeah, we talked about me and Nina talked about wanting to be together, so it was a very, very phenomenal experience that two halves came into one whole, and yeah.
That's always a nice thing when that happens, when you can play with your friends and then team up. So audiences, I'll try that again. So audiences are always curious about quartet names. Would you please describe the process of selecting the name for your ensemble? Anybody?
First of all, we waited until the very last moment to be able to submit it. We talked about multiple options, going into different maybe languages and things like that, but eventually it was a science article that pushed us towards Porphyrion. So there was a discovery about some supermassive black holes, and we fell in love with the name. It's a very funny story.
It is a very unique name. Every year we get a whole slew of new names, and you would think somewhere there would be a duplication. And in the 20 years that we've done this competition, there has been no duplication. So I think that's great. And what is a porphyrion for those of us that are ignorant about that? Can someone tell us what that is? Simon, what is that? What is a porphyrion?
I know that like Porphyrion might refer to like, well, besides like scientific element with the black holes, it's actually the name of a Greek philosopher. So that's kind of an interesting connection as well.
Excellent. So how did you guys and gals select your repertoire this year? Who would like to take that question? Nina, go ahead.
So the first piece that we started with was our Dvorak string quartet, which our coach presented to us. And then later on, we added the Pavel Haas, which our coach also introduced to us, but we also decided to play it instead. Like we had many options to choose from, and we decided on the Pavel Haas because I think it's a very captivating piece, and I was very excited to play it. And then lastly, we chose the Haydn. We decided to choose a fourth movement, and we wanted to play one that was very contrasting to the Pavel Haas in many ways. It's shorter and it's energetic and it's funny, I think.
Which one did you choose, Nina, of the Haydn quartets?
We chose Opus 33, number 3, the fourth movement.
That is a lovely piece. That
Yeah.
really is a lovely piece. Tell me about the compulsory work by Danuk Gujaratni. How is that coming along for you guys?
Well, I think we've started working on it for a couple of weeks already, and so far it's been a lot of fun, sort of like figuring out how we incorporate like the Schubert quotes into like the sort of pop sort of sound to the rest of the piece. And also it's like it's really cool how well I'm on second violin on that piece, and I have I have the interesting like motif at the very beginning of the piece that goes like dum ba da 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 dum. Yeah.
You're kind of
And
setting the pace for the whole piece, the whole movement,
yeah.
aren't you? Yeah. All right, this is my fun question. How would you describe your group's rehearsal style? Simon Updegraff, go for it.
I think we have like a happy problem, which is that we all get along so well that sometimes we just kind of want to like talk and just kind of hang out. But one technique we've been using is setting a timer on one of our phones, and for that entire time, like we have to stay really focused. And so it's good to kind of just say like, okay, 40 minutes, let's just really get stuff done.
I like that. Sasha, is that true? Is that really what you guys do?
Sometimes, sometimes. Usually the timer just rings in the middle of us chatting away, but we do get some stuff done. It's a very amazing experience with this group. It's really lovely.
I'm sensing a real camaraderie here. I mean, you're all very different people, and I say that in no pejorative way. It's lovely to see the four of you interact and not interrupt each other, and then nod in accordance and things like that. And then maybe an idea pops in your head because one of your colleagues has stimulated a thought you might not have thought of. And I think that's a really great thing about young quartet, any quartets. Those are my questions. Is there anything else that individuals or the group would like to share with our audience about the Porphyrion String Quartet?
One interesting thing is, so like our coach is a violist, so I think our pieces like featured the viola like more prominently than most. So I think that's like an interesting, characteristic of our group.
That is fantastic. I guess that speaks well, Nina, to their appreciation of your playing.
Yeah,
Do you like the viola parts in these pieces?
I do. I think they're all very interesting for me, especially the Widgernati,
Oh, yeah.
because it does start with a huge viola solo,
Yeah.
which I found really interesting to work with. Especially, I do find it interesting when Ming-Chi plays as the second violin, his repetitive rhythm, and then I play a figure that's just completely different and not at all, I'd say, in the same character. And in our other pieces, I think all of them start, or most of them have, prominent viola parts in different ways, but I think it's really interesting to work with that because it's not common in all